Good morning. My name is Bryan Collier, and on behalf of the Reginald Lewis Museum, Storytime, I'm going to be reading Dave the Potter, illustrated by me, Bryan Collier, written by Laban Carrick-Hill. And this is how the story goes. To us, it's just dirt, the ground you walk on. Scoop up a handful, the gritty grain slip between your fingers. On wet days heavy with rainwater, it's cool and squishy, mud pie heaven. But to Dave, it was clay, the plain and basic stuff upon which he learned to form a life as a slave nearly 200 years ago. To us, it's just a pot, round and tall, good for keeping marbles or fresh cut flowers. But to Dave, it was a pot, large enough to store a season's grain harvest, to put up salted meat, to hold memories. Each one began out of a cloud of dust, clotted clumps of clay ground that the pug mill carried wheelbarrow after wheelbarrow to Dave's spinning potter's wheel. And with a flat wooden paddle large enough to row across the Atlantic, Dave mixed the clay with water drawn from the Big Horse Creek until wet, stiff, and heavy. He threw the clay, sometimes 60 pounds at once. Nobody knew how or where it would land except Dave. Dave kicked his potter's wheel until it spun as fast as a carnival's wheel of fortune. And like a magician pulling a rabbit out of a hat, Dave's hands buried into the mountain mud. He pulled out the shape of a jar. His chapped thumbs pressed into the center. He squeezed the insides against his fingers on the outside. As the wheel spun round and round, the walls of the jar rose up like a robin's puffed breast, but only so far before its immense weight threatened collapse. The jar grew so large, Dave could no longer wrap his strong arms around it. If he climbed into the jar and curled up into a ball, he would have been embraced. Only then did he stop his potter's wheel and roll long ropes of clay between his dried and caked palms. Dave mounted these coils one by one on the half-finished jar. He ran his wet fingers along the side, smoothing it all together, kicking the wheel with the heel of his foot. The shoulders and rim shrugged upward as the jar took shape. Dave knew it was there even before he worked the raw mound on his wheel. And while the clay dried, Dave pounded wood ash and sand to mix a glass-like brown glaze to withstand time. But before the jar completely hardened, Dave picked up a stick, and he wrote to let us know he was here. He wrote, "I wonder where is all my relations, friendship to all and every nation." Dave the Potter.